Terry Luck, Director of Communications here at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church in Glenview. Again with our Pastor Father Jeremiah Boland for another Fireside Chat. Our location today is our beautiful church. And Father Jerry, last time we did a Fireside Chat was just at the beginning of the Lenten season. Now Easter's come and gone. Give us a little recap on Easter at OLPH this year.
Well, Easter was terrific. If you went to Central Casting and said, get me an Easter Sunday, you could not have gotten them. It was a beautiful Easter Sunday. The church was jammed to the rafters. Lots of families gathered for the Easter holiday. A lot of neighbors and friends that love to come at Easter time. It was really encouraging. We weren't sure, as we were continuing this rebuilding process from COVID. But it was just so much fun to see the crowds that came. The liturgies were beautiful. And during the Easter season, it's so full of the sacraments. We had confirmations and first communions, and it's just been a blessed Easter season. Very hopeful.
Yeah, it was like the old days, right?
Right, yes.
That was great. And now here we are. Spring is really so much going on. We've had first communions. And so many changes with the different ministries, men's club, women's club. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I often think of this time of the year as harvest time in a parish. Harvest in the sense that we experience a lot of things that have been the conclusion of tremendous efforts throughout the year. We had 160 first communicants, and when I get together with those kids and their parents back in September, for those little kids, May seems like it's an eternity away, but the celebrations were great. And the same thing is true for confirmation. We had 160 kids confirmed between the school and religious ed. These kids will shortly be graduating from grammar school. What a great group of kids. It's also a time of transitions. Last Thursday, we had a wonderful celebration with the men's club. The men's club is one of the great institutions of the parish. It's just amazing what they're able to pull off in a year. And in the first part of a year ago, we were still dealing with some COVID restrictions and things like that. But we got together last Thursday. They raised $225,000 for the parish, which funds religious ed, the school, youth ministry, Sister Paul Lanzini Family Fund. They made a donation for the renovation of McDonald Hall, a contribution to the retirement fund for the School Sisters of St. Francis. Just tremendous. And Pat Nimrod is concluding his year of the presidency. Under his leadership, there's been a significant growth in membership. And look at the money they were able to raise, plus events that bring us together. I always say, in all honesty, we depend on their donations, but more important than the donations is just bringing people together, whether it's the block party or round ball, the golf tournament. There's a whole host of events that bring our parish together. Troy Clement is our new president. He's got a lot of energy. We have a new board that's coming together for the men's club. So we got a great year ahead of us with the men's club. They honored Tom Zadar with the Zanoni Award. Tom has been involved on the Finance Council, and he also is the chair of the Palladium Committee. He's a tremendous parishioner, and we also gave the Hicks Award posthumously to Eileen Huckstra and to Kathy Quinn. They're sisters, and their father is Bob Hicks, who the award is named for. The award was, the presentations were about as moving as it can get. Talk about a blessed parish, yes. And so that was the feeling Monday. And then this week on Wednesday will be the Women's Club installation. Again, the Women's Club raises tremendous amounts of money for the parish. Every week, one of the guilds is got a drive going on for the poor, for families at risk, for women in need. It's just incredible what they generate in the year. And I'm very grateful to Jen Farr, who's the president of the Women's Club, and the installation of the new officers will be taking place. Everything looks great for them. The Parish Pastoral Council has 4 members leaving the board, and we have interviewed candidates for the position, and hopefully the decisions will be made shortly to have a new board in place, Pastoral Council for next year. It kills me to have to say no to anybody that applied for the Parish Council, because we are blessed and doubly blessed with the kind of people who are interested in serving the parish in this capacity. During the month of late May and early June, we'll be interviewing candidates for the Finance Council. We need 4 members of the Finance Council. I'm also looking for couples that would like to help with our baptismal prep program. Deacon Jim Revord and his wife have run that program for many years. Yeah. Jim just marked his 30th anniversary as a deacon, and he and his wife are pulling back just a bit. So I need couples to serve the baptismal prep. That's important ministry. Young parents with children, the baptism of a child can be a connecting point for a young couple that maybe hasn't been as engaged in church. So in addition to preparing a couple for the baptism of their child, it can be a great initiation into OLPH Parish. So if you're interested, please give me a call.
Yes, and there's so many baptisms coming up.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We don't baptize children during Lent, so there's sort of a backlog, but I don't know, I think there's a baby boom going on. We've had weekends where we have 7, 9, 10 infants being baptized. It's like awesome to see all this new life.
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
That's great news. And then as we go into summer, it's going to be pretty exciting because there's going to be a lot of capital improvements. Maybe you could talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff happening over the summer. Our major project has to do with the Palladium. It needs a new roof, and the mechanicals, air conditioning, HVAC systems, all need to be replaced. The gym floor is in need of its maintenance. It's hard to believe that gym floor is 15 years old already, and so it has significant maintenance issues. We're hoping to put a lift or an elevator into the Palladium. When we get finished with this project, the Palladium's going to be in tremendous shape for years to come, and it is used by so many groups. And, it's been fantastic. The construction starts the day after school closes, and hopefully will be finished the day before school opens, and holding my breath because it's a lot of work. We have a lot of confidence from the contractors involved that they can meet this timeline. It's an ambitious timeline, and, with supply chain issues and work issues, you just hold your breath. I know if you're at home trying to do a renovation project at home and you're dependent on a contractor equipment, it can be frustrating. But we will hopefully have the Palladium up and running for full use by the middle of August. We're going to be replacing the carpet here in the church. The carpet has served us very well. It's about 5 years past its shelf life, and it's held up remarkably well. We have picked a new design, a new color. It's going to be blue, but pretty much the same kind of design as we see on the carpeting right now. It'll be blue, honor of the Blessed Mother. It's at the loom right now being produced, and late summer, early September, it should be ready for installation. We're going to try to minimize the issues of the use of the church to the best we can. But, this is a large space. There may be a number of days when you come to church, there won't be a carpet down. We'll just all have to be patient with that. But we really can't simply close the church for 2 or 3 weeks, which they'd like us to do, but there's just too much going on. So it'll be a beautiful carpet. It's a state-of-the-art design. They'll say this will easily have a 20-year shelf life, and so we'll be good to go for a long time. And then we've got the bells project.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yes, we've had people contributing towards that. With anything, it starts out with just replacing the bell system, the electronic bell system. But then it's, while we're up here, Father, your bell tower could use work. The clock on the top tower right now is manually maintained, which is expensive. They're suggesting of putting a digital clock, which, when we have daylight savings time, or as what happened the other night when we were out with electricity for several hours, it'll be much easier to correct the time on the clock and to illuminate the bell tower so it's brighter. We'll also have a number of features with this new system, several different combinations of bell tones for the marking of the hours of the day, for the Angelus at noon and at 6, for the seasons of Easter and Lent. There's also a Bluetooth technology that can assist us, God forbid, in a catastrophe or disaster. The Glenview Police Department could use the speaker system of the bells. There was some urgent message they needed to communicate. There'll also be a feature where we can have Russell on the pipe organ, and it can play on the bell system outside.
Wow.
If there were certain events outside, maybe a procession or the May crowning. So there'll be a lot of features. So we've got a number of gifts towards the bell tower. The Goslins, Greg and Vicki, have made a major gift in honor of Greg's parents, and we're still looking for a little bit more of additional funding so we can do the bell tower, clock tower correctly. But hopefully that will be a project completed by the end of summer. I would love if at the block party we could be pealing the bells. That's my hope for that. We're in the final stages of preparing the plans for McDonald Hall. That was one of our campaign projects. Like everything else, the prices have gone through the roof from what we had anticipated even a year ago. What we hope to do in McDonald Hall is to replace the HVAC system, new lighting, new ceiling, upgrade the sound system, upgrade the kitchens, upgrade the bathrooms, and to create an ambiance in McDonald Hall, like especially for liturgy, that it would look less like maybe a church hall or basement, but for liturgical life would be more appropriate for Mass. Everything will be very flexible, so you could play bingo, you could have Mass, the Cub Scouts could be doing their Pinewood Derby. It has to be able to accommodate many different activities, and that's the intention. But when we're finished with that, McDonald Hall will be in great shape for many years to come. The architect is doing the final drawings. Once the drawings are done, the project can go out to bid, and then we'll begin to look at a timeline. I suspect that's a timeline in late fall or winter before we'd be, and that's another thing though, McDonald Hall will be closed for a while, but we'll work out alternative gathering spaces for people during that process.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
That's amazing.
Thank you, parishioners of OLPH, because none of this would be happening without the generous support that you give this parish. These are major projects. That Palladium project will be, probably between $700,000 and $800,000 when it's finished, for starters. So we could not maintain the kind of campus we do if it wasn't for the stewardship and the generosity of each and every one of you who are watching this Fireside Chat.
Well, that's amazing. And I really just a couple little details that I think are just so beautiful. The color of the carpeting, taking that dark blue from the icon itself is just going to be so dramatic. I think parishioners will love it. And I love the fact that the bells will be a benefit for the community.
Yes.
If there is an emergency, as well as just the beauty of the church and for parishioners. It's just amazing stuff.
Which reminds me something I wanted to tell everybody about, because it's a major process that's been happening. Last summer, we had increasing concerns regarding the security and safety of our beautiful campus. There are times where there could be as many as 2,000 people on campus for different things between the school and parish. You could have a large funeral and another gathering. And so we commissioned a major security audit of our campus. The audit produced many recommendations. And, it's always intimidating when you get these recommendations as to how to implement them. And through the hard work, particularly of Dr. Mills and her staff, and Mike, our facilities director, and Mary Lynn, our operations director, and Angela Romero, School of Religious Ed, I can tell you that we are a much safer campus today than we were in August. We've installed many more cameras. We now have a safety officer on campus from 6:30 in the morning to 6:30 at night. We have a much more comprehensive system of identifying who works here, who's visiting here, who are the students. Because in the case of an emergency, the first responders have to know who's who. We now have a much more intricate kind of walkie-talkie system so that we can be in communication if the phones went out. We have now installed landline phones in every classroom on the campus. With this new security system with the cameras on my phone now, I can download and get into any kind of surveillance area that if there was a case where it's 2 o'clock in the morning and the police are here and they've got a report of somebody trying to break into the building, we can zero in on more parts of the campus than ever. We're going to continue to begin this process of implementing as many of these security measures so that we can be as safe as possible. I'm planning in the fall to have a weekend where we would practice a fire drill in the church during Mass. Where would you go in the case of an emergency? Or what if the recommendation was to stay in the church? How do we communicate this to people? These are things you just have to be aware of these days so that everyone is safe and secure. We've done a lot of work with landscaping. They identified certain of bushes and trees that needed to be pruned so that no one would be hiding in these places. We're going to be replacing windows, and now you have to think of what they call bullet-resistant windows. It's just the world we live in. Our staff and all of our teachers did an extensive training session with the Glenview Fire Department and the Glenview Police Department for the beginning of the year. We've upgraded our emergencies operation manual. I want to commend our police and fire departments here in Glenview. They could not be more helpful to us, and we were all planned to do all of that again in August, because it's really important that the staff and faculty have a pretty as good idea as possible what to do in the case of a lockdown or a tornado or a fire somewhere on campus. And I feel, again, better about where we are today than where we were, and we'll just keep moving ahead on that.
Yeah, and even the students have been involved with different types of drills and things like that.
Yes.
It's very, staying ahead of everything is just so fantastic the way it's been done. It's just great. Well, we talked about all these improvements, and now we're going into summer where maybe attendance is a little bit lighter at church, but the financial requirements are still there.
Yeah, so we've been, in this process of rebuilding in the light of COVID, and I got an email last week that I thought at one point I would never get, which was an email from the Vicar General saying that all remaining COVID restrictions have been lifted. This was in light of the World Health Organization's determination that we're no longer in a global pandemic. And, in these weeks and months recently, there's been a somewhat sluggish return of people to active participation. I felt we really turned a corner at Christmas, and then we turned an even bigger corner at Easter. Clearly, our liturgies are drawing more and more people, and that's very life-giving. we've been challenged on the offertory side of it. We're in a deficit situation because less people coming is less people giving. And so we have to address the offertory giving situation. I just appeal to, if you're away during the summer, that you not forget OLPH. Our bills, unfortunately, don't take a vacation, so we have to face those. We also haven't done this in a long time. In the fall, we're going to do a more organized offertory enhancement process. It's time for us to once again just take a look at the stewardship needs of the parish, the opportunities that we might present to parishioners to enhance their giving so that we can stabilize our collections and move forward. Inflation hits you, it hits me, it hits the parish. We've had significant escalation in costs. We've had to, in our budgeting process, we're having to make several reductions to try to keep pace with things. But my hope is that if we have a successful, and I'm confident this parish always responds when I need your help, that we'll take a look at it in the fall of several weekends that will make a case for considering enhancing your stewardship of the parish. Again, I'm very confident people respond to that and that we will continue to become stronger financially as we become stronger spiritually. Because another program that we'll be experiencing in the coming months is called Eucharistic Revival. This is a program initiated by the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops. And, every parish in the United States has experienced a decline in weekly attendance. This precedes the pandemic. But the bishops are inviting us to really focus on the centrality of the Eucharist in the life of a parish. If you don't have a strong sense of the Eucharist, your mission is diminished, your viability is less than what it could be. And so there's going to be a number of programs, gatherings, events, talks being offered in the coming months to get us all re-energized about how significant the Eucharist is. That will contribute deeply to the expansion of people participating. We are blessed with an outstanding live streaming capability that I'll be forever grateful, because it wasn't just the live streaming of masses, but it has expanded our virtual presence. People have been able to see talks that they wouldn't normally be able to see. They've been able to engage in the parish. But, the one thing the live streaming can't do is give you the Eucharist. You can't come to the Lord's table physically. It's certainly a tremendous blessing. We have untold numbers of people that can't come. They'd love to come, but they're confined to a wheelchair, a bed, or they're living far away. There's circumstances. So this really keeps them connected. But for others, it can be an opportunity. I got to start getting back to church. I've got to receive the Eucharist. I was amazed at First Communions. We had 3 First Communions this past Saturday, and we had 3 the weekend before, the spread First Communion this weekend. How many people just said it just felt so good to go to receive communion? So we'll be looking at our financial and spiritual health pretty intensely in the coming months, and we're just moving forward.
It's an exciting time.
It sure is.
Well, do you have any last words for parishioners, especially even graduates, as we kind of end the school year and head to summer?
One of the great things about confirmation is the kids interview with me and the other priests as part of their preparation. And we've also been laying the seeds of a new youth ministry program under the leadership of Father Patrick and Zoe Sundstrom. And more and more kids have been coming to that. And, there's a lot of doom and gloom about the future, a lot of gnashing of teeth about where's the world going and where are our young people. And after you go through the process of even just those interviews, we have nothing to worry about. These kids are fantastic, and they just need to be included. We've got to find ways to keep inviting them to allow us to join them in their faith journey. because these kids have so much to offer. And if they're engaged, it makes all the difference in the world. We're going to have a town hall meeting next week with parents of children from 7th grade through senior year high school. We need the support and the input of our parents. They're essential in any youth ministry program. And but I wish my very best congratulations to our graduates from 8th grade, our high school graduates, and college graduates and graduate students. The world needs you. Please find a place that you can share your gifts because you have been blessed by the Lord, and we're blessed to have been part of your life. And pray that your future will be one of many blessings.